What's going on, y'all? It's your boy D-Row with High Regard Photography. Today's video, I want to talk about my experience shooting with a couple cameras. Now, these two cameras are going to be in very similar price ranges, and I picked them up. One I bought brand new. One I had some experience with years and years ago. And what is it like using them today in 2024? So, first camera, the infamous, the one that everybody loves to hate. It's the Canon Rp. This camera gets a whole lot of flack, and say like if you're like a commercial photographer, or you're just booking a lot of high-end stuff all the time, I definitely see why you might want to use something different than the Canon Rp. However, for me, the Canon Rp is pretty cool. I bought this one brand new, and had a crop sensor like SL3. So the thing is, with the SL3, I loved it. It had great colors, cool autofocus. I mean, it was like a mirrorless camera and a DSLR in one. It was a crop sensor. I was really getting annoyed with using a 50mm lens on the SL3. I was having to use like 24s and 35s all the time, and it was just throwing my workflow off a little bit, having to do all the crop sensor math. At that time, I was shooting a lot for hobby, and I would shoot models, shoot with an agency and this and that, but I was real new. I really bought my camera just for YouTube. It was perfect. It could take EF and EFS lenses. It had a microphone jack on it. Live view focus was great, dual pixel autofocus. But I did want to go to full frame, so I jumped to full frame with the purchase of the Canon Rp. Now, the reason I got the Rp and not the EOS R is because the EOS R had that touch bar. A lot of people say it's real finicky, it's easy to bump it or push it on accident. Another issue with the EOS R is that I don't like the electronic mode dial on the EOS R or the EOS R5. I really prefer the manual dial, and the Rp and the R6 and now the R8 and a few other cameras all have this manual dial. It's just the original R and the R5 that have the electronic mode dial. So just looking at those two things alone were like the biggest reasons why I went with the Rp instead of the EOS R. And I took pictures, I took videos, images. I loved it so much that I actually picked up another one, and that's what you're being recorded on right now. The drawback of the Canon Rp, I kind of get mixed reviews about is the camera weather sealed or not. It actually has a better feeling body than the EOS R6. Like, I've used the R6 a bit. The Rp actually has a more rugged feeling body, even though it's a little thinner. But weather sealing on the Rp may or may not be an issue. I haven't taken mine out in the weather. Like, I've taken it out on like misty days on the beach, with the sand blowing and stuff like that. I haven't had any problem, but weather sealing was a concern for me using the Rp. Another concern I have is was the battery life, but as time went on, I kind of got used to it. Just having a smaller battery and the Rp, it's not that big of a deal. I have a battery grip and a pocket full of batteries. Pretty much anytime I'm shooting something major, it's never been a problem. Also, with the Rp, if you use a pretty good USB, even some car chargers, like the one that I use to charge my phone, can actually charge the Rp while it's turned off. So that's a good thing to know as far as battery life goes. Oh, last thing with the battery life is I do use a dummy battery when I'm recording video. Like, if I know I'm going to be set up to record video for long periods of time, I also have a dummy battery for the Rp. And then I guess the last couple things that I took issue with the Rp, and it's going to segue into the next item that I'm going to show you, is the one card slot. Now, I have had about 3 cards fail, but they were really cheap cards. Like, I got to where I was shooting so much that I would buy those super cheap cards on Amazon, and I would put the final images on those and either hand them off or mail them off to whoever needed the images. And if the card corrupted on them, I would still have the backup files on my hard drive. But yeah, the RP has one card slot. It was annoying for a long time until I made this next purchase. And it's not a major purchase, but you know, I made the next purchase. This camera here actually does have 2 card slots. It's annoying as hell. Like, I just gotten to where I keep it turned off. Because especially when you're just like shooting for fun, leisurely, like you don't want like a bunch of files, you know, and then you back up one card and you gotta pull out, you know, a month later you look at it again and like, dang, did I back up this card? Did I back up that? You know, the one card slot on the RP, you know, I thought it was something that was gonna bother me, but as long as I use a lot of Samsung cards actually, and then of course, you know, your big brands, your Lexars and your SanDisk. Never had a failure with those cards. It's always been like those Kookaroo or whatever. I don't even want to try to call their names, but I might put them up here. I've had 4 failures across 2 different card brands. So yeah, take that as you would. You know, if you feel more comfortable with 2 card slots, I definitely recommend you do it. But I mean, unless you're like shooting like a luxury vacation or like a big wedding, I really don't think it's that much of a risk in 2024 to lose data on a corrupted card. So basically, to sum it all up, my biggest issue with the RP was it only had 1 card slot, had a small battery, and the weather sealing, which it may or may not be weather sealed according to Google. So what I did is I remember back in the day using one of these bad boys. This is a 5D Mark III. This camera has good autofocus. It has the mic jack, the headphone jack, just like the RP. It's got a gang of buttons on the back. It's got the thumb dial, which I thought I wanted or missed until I picked it up and used it for a while. I actually don't miss the thumb dial. I prefer it up top. It has the 2 card slots and the big battery. So the battery is in the bottom. The card slots are in the side. And it takes one SD and the other one has to be CF. Now, what I do for that, since that's super annoying, is my CF card slot, I use this adapter. Now, you probably can't really get away with this on the R5. The R5 is similar, where it takes a SD and a CF, but what I do is I use this card adapter. So this is actually just a Samsung 128 gig. And the most common way I use this is just kind of like internal memory. Like I pretty much never pull this out of the camera. After I back up one card, I just format both. But I kind of use it as like a running memory or internal memory. And it works out pretty good like that. But after a little while, you start to, it is easy to forget what you've backed up unless you really work out a workflow with your 2 cards. Now, I did do an event with the 5D Mark III and the RP, and I actually got some footage of that I'm going to show you guys real quick. And then also some sample images. You're not gonna see a whole lot of difference. And I know that this is an old camera. I think found this used. It was in excellent condition. I just really feel like with these 2 cameras, these are 2 cameras like under 500 bucks that you can literally pick up and get the job done. Now the biggest difference is that with the 5D Mark III, you have to micro adjust your focus for each lens. I mean, you can do it just like on a broadband, like for any lens. Like you can do for all lenses or per lens. So when I put this Tamron 35 on here, it's already set up. Like all the micro adjustments are in here already, which can be a bit annoying. And I mean, I did bomb a shoot with this camera because of that. It was back focusing quite a bit. I was shooting wide open, super shallow. That's really going to be the biggest difference. Is this is going to have a little more weight. And honestly, the weight feels about the same. It's just balanced different. You have to micro adjust your autofocus on the 5D Mark III. The bigger battery, but I mean, that's real nitpicky to complain about the battery, especially when you can have extra batteries and battery grips and adapters that you can plug it right into the wall. Oh, the colors. Now, that's the one thing about this camera that I like a lot better with the 5D Mark III is that the colors just seem a little bit more rich. Oh, they're just more dynamic colors coming out of the 5D Mark III than the RP. It's like, say if you're in a field, you're shooting some outdoor stuff where it's green and you got, you know, green leaves, brown leaves, you got dirt, you got all, and it's all shades of green, brown, and yellow all throughout the image. With the 5D Mark III, you're just gonna get way more depth out of like the same color than you get out of the RP. It's hard to explain because they both look good, but it's like sometimes I'll find myself struggling trying to make the RP files do something that they just won't do. They're not gonna do it, and I'll literally be struggling in editing, trying to push colors and pull colors out or make certain colors pop. And 5D, super easy. I mean, these are probably like the easiest to edit files that I've come across. Anyway, that's been it, y'all. Leave a comment down below if you have any specific questions about these cameras. One other thing about the RP that I do favor is that it has the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth connectivity. 5D Mark III does not. That comes in handy when you're self-shooting videos or doing selfies or trying to transfer files real quick. But yeah, that's been it. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. It's your boy D-Ro. I'm out.